What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to the Credit Plug channel. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button as well as smash the subscribe button. In today's video, I'm gonna be sharing with you some data points on a recent approval on a $50,000 business line of credit that I was able to get approved for. We're gonna be going over the Fulton Bank small business line of credit funding play. Fulton Bank is based out of Pennsylvania. They offer unsecured lines of credit, secured lines of credit, as well as real estate secured line of credit. One of the great things about Fulton Bank is that you can apply for an unsecured line of credit online. The application process is very easy. I've dropped links in the description of the video. You basically just fill out a form and hit submit, and it's not an instant decision. A bank representative will reach out to you. In terms of the geographic footprint, Fulton Bank is based out of Pennsylvania. They also allow for businesses based out of Maryland, New Jersey, Virginia, and Delaware to apply for the unsecured line of credit. And some of you might be thinking, if I'm in Georgia, what if I'm in California? Is there a way to get access to these lines of credit? And the short answer is yes. So you can do what's called a foreign entity registration, right? Let's say you have a business based out of California. So you would fill out a foreign entity in a different state, and that allows you to have access to financial institutions in that state because your business is now legally recognized to operate in that state. That's one of the ways around these geographic restrictions. In terms of the best states for foreign entity registration, I would have to say that Pennsylvania is probably the best state in the country. And so if you're looking for which foreign entity is going to give you the most bang for your buck, I would say Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania just has a ton of different financial institutions, from Fulton Bank, Citizens Bank, Key Bank. In terms of the documentation required, now the caveat is whether or not you're a newcomer or an existing customer. In my case, I didn't have any prior relationship, but I was able to get approved for $50,000 line of credit, but I did have to provide some documentation. The basic documentation you're going to have to provide is formation documents. That's going to include your articles of organization. You're also going to have to provide a certificate of good standing, right? And so a certificate of good standing is important because it's basically letting institutions know that you're in good standing in whatever state where your businesses are registered. You want to have a certificate of good standing. That's one of the documents they require. Also asks for a business debt schedule. A business debt schedule lists out all of your different lines of credit, loans, and so forth. And this is something they provide for you. So you literally just fill it out. So it's going to have the creditor name and address, the original date of whatever loan or credit card, and basically just all these characteristics: the interest rate, your current balances, whether it's collateralized, and the purpose of the loan. So here you would just write like business credit card, business line of credit, business loan. I'm not sure how they verify that or if they pull your business credit report to actually confirm that, but you do have to self-report whatever existing business debts. The schedule of business debt or business debt schedule is another thing they're going to require. And the other document that they did require is your business and personal tax returns. One of the caveats is that if you're an existing customer, you may not have to provide the business and personal taxes. But in my case, since I didn't have a prior relationship, they did request business and personal taxes. They basically just wanted your business tax return, your schedule of business debt, and your formation documents, which is your articles of organization and certificate of good standing. Now, in terms of credit bureau that's being pulled, they pull TransUnion for the business line of credit. And one thing I also wanted to clarify is because Fulton Bank is an institution that they underwrite their loans and lines of credit. However, if you're trying to apply for a credit card, their credit cards are issued through Elon Financial Services. When you try to apply for this, it's going to take you to their external third-party website. Right here, as you can see, Elon Financial Services is going to be issuing their business credit card. So different data points will apply. In terms of the minimum credit score, you're going to want at least a 680 TransUnion. Now, I'm not sure which FICO scoring model they use. When I applied, I qualified for the lowest interest rate, which was about 10.59%, which is on par with some of the other lines of credit that I have. With this particular application, it's up to a maximum of $50,000 on the unsecured line of credit. Now, another product I wanted to let you know about is the real estate secured lines of credit. And this is pretty interesting, especially for those who might be into real estate investing, Airbnbs. So pretty much what they allow you to do is, let's say you own a property outright, own a non-owner occupied property, or a property that's titled under your business. You could basically get a line of credit and they'll give you up to 75% loan to value on, actually, let me just double check that. What's my note? Yeah, 75% loan to value. Let's say you have a property worth $200,000. They'll give you a line of credit of $150,000, and the terms are for 5 years. So pretty much you don't get reassessed until the 5-year period. Of course, you do have to get a third-party appraisal. They'll determine the value of the property, and based on that valuation, they're able to give you a line of credit. The interest rate is slightly lower for the real estate line of credit and the secured line of credit. This is a pretty interesting product. One of the major differences, and this is something I noticed with getting secured lines of credit, secured business lines of credit, typically, like for example, banks won't allow you to get a secured line of credit on the business if the property is zoned residential. So for example, with Truist, if you have an Airbnb investment property or any non-owner occupied investment property, if it's not zoned commercial, they're not going to let you use it to collateralize the line of credit. If you have a residential property with Fulton Bank, you can use that to collateralize a business line of credit or a real estate secured line of credit. So just to recap, Fulton Bank offers a streamlined application for an unsecured business line of credit. They pull TransUnion for the lines of credit and the loans, as well as the real estate secured loans. However, for the business credit cards, since those are issued through Elon Financial Services, they may pull any of the 3 credit bureaus. So just make sure that you understand those data points before you start applying. So they underwrite their own lines of credit and loans, but they outsource their credit card. So just keep that in mind. In terms of the credit bureau that they're pulling for the lines of credit and the loans, is going to be TransUnion. Their typical geographic footprint is Pennsylvania, Maryland, Virginia, Delaware, as well as New Jersey. However, if your business is not located in any of those states, you could do what's called a foreign entity registration. Now, again, this is not financial advice. The best state, in my opinion, when it comes to foreign entities, if you're looking to expand your access to financial institutions, is going to be Pennsylvania, because Pennsylvania has a ton of different financial institutions. The first banks were started in Pennsylvania, in Philadelphia. PA just has a ton of great institutions to position your business to get the maximum amount of funding. I think foreign entity registration in Pennsylvania would allow you to access a ton of different financial institutions. Now, in terms of the documents required, you're going to need your business formation documents, so articles of organization, certificate of good standing with the Secretary of State, and you're also going to have to provide a business debt schedule that lists out all of your existing business debts, from credit cards, lines of credit, loans, equipment financing, whatever business debt that you have to list that on the schedule of business debt. Also, if you're not an existing member, you may have to provide additional documentation. So that was the case with me. Since I didn't have a previous relationship, I did have to provide tax returns. Now, if you're an existing Fulton Bank customer, you may not have to provide tax returns. My recommendation is to be an existing member prior to applying. Fulton Bank also has business secured lines of credit where you can actually pledge non-owner occupied real estate property as collateral. One of the major distinctions that sets Fulton Bank apart from other financial institutions that offer secured business lines of credit is that Fulton Bank will allow you to pledge a residential property. If it's zoned residential, you can use it as collateral for a secured line of credit up to 75% loan to value. So this allows you to tap into the equity in your property and even possibly use those funds to acquire more real estate. That's all for today's video. Let me know your comments and questions right down below. Until next time, take it easy and we'll talk to you soon. Peace.